Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of Caught on the Mic. And today's episode is a special one. For the first time in nearly a decade, New Jersey pop punk staples Major League are back. And they're celebrating 15 years of The Truth Is, and they're taking it back on tour. From VFW halls and DIY van tours to international stages, this band helped define an era of early 2010s emo and pop punk. And after disbanding in 2016, which we were just talking about, they're reunited with the original lineup. And today, Brian and Nick are here to talk about the reunion, the growth, and what this next chapter really means. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, man, this is an exciting moment in time. April 30th, you guys start this tour with Hit the Lights. You hadn't toured in nearly a decade. What was the exact moment when this went from what if to actually doing this?
I don't know if it has yet. It's still so fresh. Nick and I hadn't spoken in 13 years. And then we got dinner one night last March, and it wasn't really meant to be anything, just kind of like hey, I would love to be friends again. We haven't spoken. We kind of had like a weird, murky thing. And so we got together. One thing led to another. We decided, since it's been 15 years since The Truth Is, maybe we'll put the vinyl out. You know, people have asked for it for years and stuff. And now that we're talking again, it would be cool to do something. That very quickly snowballed into that record sold out. And then we got the show offer. We were like, do we want to do a show? And Nick was like, I haven't sang in 13 years. I don't know about that. We did the show, and then literally stepped off stage, and Anthony, who is Hit the Lights manager, just like came over, put his arm around us, was like, how about a tour? Okay. So yeah, it happened really fast. It was literally a year ago to this day, like we had just started texting again. So it's crazy to be now preparing for a tour. So
yeah. Wow. And kind of picking up what you said there, haven't sang in 13 years. Like, kind of fill me in on what this experience is like.
Well, it's an experience, I'll tell you what. So when I left, I kind of just not forgotten, but kind of like removed myself away from everything, right? And, we were kind of talking about social media, but I removed myself from social media and was like, I want to focus on a family. So, I have a son, he's 7, and I've been farming for the past 6 years. So like, I'm so far removed from everything. And when we started talking about doing this reunion show, it was like, okay, I need to go see a vocal coach. Like, I need to start like doing things again. It's like going back to the gym, So it wasn't overwhelming per se. I think there was a lot of self-doubt of like, can I do this again? Because when I left, I was very stressed, and you could tell, in my voice, and I was very self-conscious about that. So it kind of got into building and boosting my confidence to be able to be on stage again in front of, however many people.
Yeah. Dude, I no way, shape, or form do I want to make any of this about myself. But the reason I asked you that, because of my own personal morbid curiosity. I sang in bands from the mid 90s until 2012. Yeah. And at least once a year, I have a promoter reach out to me, and he's like, hey, why don't you get this band back together and let's do a reunion show? And I tell you, I am scared shitless every time I get asked to do that. For one, I am so far removed from the junior high girls' locker room politics of being in a band, right, that I'm like, I can't do it anymore. And two, the physical thought of it, I'm like, no way in hell I would be able to perform like the screamo level shit I was doing when I quit.
No, man. I lost like 30 pounds in like 3 months. Like, I was hitting the gym. I was running 5 miles, every day. Like, it was, if we're going to do this, we need to be good. Like, we can't just go on stage and just be like, all right, here we are. Like, we need to be good. Like we needed to make it worth it for people. So I think you put a lot of pressure on yourself, but it's nice that all that pressure that we did put on ourselves came to fruition and kind of bloomed from there, you know?
Yeah, so with the band having ended in 2016, Brian, did you do anything musically after the band ended?
Yeah, so Nick left in 2013, and I just felt like we were just on the come up then. Like Hard
Right.
Feelings was kind of like doing its thing, and I just wasn't ready, to stop. So I was like, we had talked briefly. Like, I mean, Nick left. We all got together. We're like, hey, what should we do here? Like, what's the plan? And we spoke briefly about it. And the guys were just like, why don't you just sing? Like, you wrote most of the songs. Why don't you just sing? This way we don't have to bring a new guy in. And then it also leaves the door open if like 6 months from now, Nick's like, hey, that was dumb. Sorry. He wants to come back. We don't have to kick another guy out. I could just step back to guitar, which obviously didn't happen. But so we continued for another 3 years and then basically got strong armed into not being a band anymore. Label drama. But I again just this was all I was ever gonna do. Like
Right.
at like 15, I felt like I signed a contract with the universe or whatever it was, and was like, this is it forever. So like coming out of the band at 25, we broke up when I was 25. So like coming out of the band at 25, I was like, dude, I have no discernible skills. This is all I've done. Like I can't even be a bagger at Whole Foods if I wanted to. So like, yeah, I continue doing music, and now I produce for other bands and do songwrites, and I have my own project that I've been doing as well. And to kind of piggyback off of Nick and like the whole reunion thing as well was like coming back, my wife was like, why are you so stressed and nervous about this? You still do this all the time. I was like, I know, but not with that. Like, that thing is such a different beast than this is what I'm doing now, because I do that at my leisure now. Like if I want to tour, I'll go out and do a tour or something like that, open for somebody, but like it's not something that I'm like hit the ground running, all this stuff. With that, it's got its own ecosystem. It has a fan base. With that also comes the pressure of making sure you sound like you used to and or better, and like whatever else. So there was just so much with it that
Dude, that is number 3. If I said the drama number 1, 2, the physical capabilities, but 3, having that damn polish. Like you can't jump back on the stage and just like raw dog it like, it's your first gig ever. Like people are going to expect the best of the best and like you to be, if not as good, but better than what you left it.
Yeah. 100%. No, you're 1,000% right. I mean that. And I think that was like the biggest like factor for us was we're all in our 30s now, mid 30s and whatnot. And we're looking at it as like, so are our fans. Some of these people might be coming with their kids. Some of these people might, and chances are like these kids that were stage diving back then and front flipping, whatever, are now going to be holding up cell phones and wanting to capture the moment. And it also comes with the pressure of this one sucks and sounds bad. You're not getting booked in anymore. Like,
nope.
We're like,
oh my gosh.
Let's try and be somewhat decent here. So yeah.
So 15 years later, how does The Truth Is feel differently compared to when you first released it?
That's a good question. I'd say for me, it's a lot of like memories and nostalgia, right? I think there's a lot of memories tied to each song, and to kind of put myself back into that mental state of where we were. There's a lot of like, there's some songs on The Truth Is that we talk about. We're like, why did we write that? Like, that's absolutely terrible. Like, but then you go and you appreciate it for what it is. Like, we were kids, and the things that we went through to write those songs, like, that makes sense. Like, I don't feel the cringe, when we did that reunion show and we played The Truth Is from front to back. I didn't feel the cringe, like I used to back in the day, where I'm like, people, this sucks. Why are we playing this song? You can appreciate it for where you were, for the memories and, everything. Like Take Me. Take Me is, I think, one of my favorite songs now off of that, because it, I remember my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, we were in New York City, or she was going to school in New York City, and we drove up and we parked the van and we surprised her. She came walking down the street. We opened up the side of the van and we played Take Me Acoustic in the middle of, New York City in the streets. Like, that's so sick. And I get to think
Yeah.
about that every time I sing that song now. So, from states away, right? It's no longer about the relationship, it's about my family. So there's a lot of things that I can interpret differently now in those songs and really appreciate.
Yeah. How about you, Brian?
I think that it's the charm in it, like that we were so young. I'd spent really after Major League, I wanted to remove myself so much from it. And because again, we were 19, 20 years old and whatnot when I was writing those songs, and so I realized as I got older and the more rooms that I got in and writing rooms and whatnot, and you meet people and they're like, "Wait, you were in Major League?" I'm like, "How is that an accolade? Like, that was like a thing. Like, what do you mean?" I think that like us coming back to it, like Nick said, you find the charm in it, and the songs. I mean, Nick was just here. I don't know. I don't even know how we're doing this right now. We were up at 5 a.m. driving him to the airport. He was just here this morning.
Yeah, it
and
was.
he's
Yeah.
back in Delaware. And so we but like when we were writing here this week, he and I just had those like feelings that I did when we were living together when we were 19, writing, I Don't Like You Whatsoever. Things like that, where like he and I are sitting there and it's 2 a.m. and we're eating Tostino's pizza rolls and just like,
Right.
all right, what about this for the second verse? What do you think about this? Like kind of thing. And now to do that, like, at this age and come back to it, it puts like such a nice little spotlight on that EP because it set the tone for all of this. It kind of like, it set the stage for, and like Nick said, the cringe of feeling it at the time as we were writing new songs and you're kind of like, oh God, that thing we did 3 years ago. But now that we're so old, so much older and far removed from it, you feel that like, all right, kid, I hear you. Like, I hear what you're going for. That's fun. Like,
yes. Yeah. So I think we all have had that moment since 2020 and living through the pandemic where our relationship with nostalgia has changed so dramatically. So having walked away from a project like Major League and then coming back to it, has that also influenced your relationship with nostalgia?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think it's cool, right? So I talk about my family a lot when I talk about Major League and I talk about, my journey. And I've I always, tried to talk to my son about, where I was, because my wife she was with me since the beginning of Major League. Like we've been together since she's been through all of that. Trying to talk to my son a little bit about it and show him videos on the internet, and he's like, "That's cool, Dad," and just kind of roll his eyes. And then then he goes to that, reunion show that we played, Williams Center, sold out, 700 people, and he's like, "What is this? This is awesome." And he understands now, like, he understands that I'm going out to California to write music and to, meet with people, and he understands about going on tour. And I think it's cool that I get to share that nostalgia now. It's it's definitely a cool feeling. I think it's reinvigorated what I want in life. Before I talked to Brian a little bit about this while I was out there in California. I was like, but I'm so content, right? I have a job. We don't make a lot of money, but I'm okay. Like I'd rather have time than money, but to be able to put my time and energy into something that I'm passionate about, I think is well worth that, right?
Yes. Yeah. The genre itself, and correct me if I'm off base, but it seems to have a renaissance every 5 to 7 years.
I agree.
Like where it dies off and then it comes back bigger than it was before. And we've seen several iterations of that. You guys came up in the VFW DIY van tour era. What made that specific era of the early 2010s so special, and can it ever be replicated?
I don't want to be that like old man yells at cloud and says like, it can't be replicated. Like what we had was special. I think there's versions of it because I remember when we were first coming up and we would get shows with bands that we grew up looking up to and stuff. And they would tell us stories like, yeah, but you guys don't know it like we did. You guys have GPSs now. We had maps out. So every generation has their thing, right? But But I do think for us, the special pocket that happened was we were on the cusp of what the internet was kind of bringing to things. And so we were still getting, I feel like it's really indicative of like how the internet has affected my entire life, because I also remember being a kid and riding my bikes to my friends' houses and going out and playing and stuff, but also remember my first screen name and when the internet was introduced to our house and all that.
Mhm.
And so it's the same thing with the touring. Our first couple tours, we did have an almanac. We were sitting there just kind of like, are you reading that upside down? I feel like we're going south right now, kind of thing. And it turned into, oh my God, yeah, here we are. We're like, we have like access to like, instead of pulling up to a mall and being like, hey, you guys know of any shows going on tonight? Like we're trying to play type thing. Now we're like emailing promoters because we found their thing on their website, on their MySpace or whatever it was. And so it made it a lot more accessible, but it also made it the wild, wild west, because in today, what like, especially for what I experienced with like my own projects and stuff, you have that like, oh, you don't just cold email somebody. You have to know somebody. They'll be expecting your email because you don't, that's just not kosher. It's not what you do kind of thing. Whereas like back then we were emailing everybody and they were like, I don't know, are they someone? I've never heard of them. They're from New Jersey. They're trying to book a show in Shiprock, New Mexico. Like, I don't know. If they're coming through, I guess they might be somebody. And we're like, yeah, dude, we're totally somebody. What? Like, and then we show up and there's like, it's just like us and the stray dogs in the parking lot to play to. But like, yeah, I think that's what felt so special about that time, was that we were seeing the transition happen of bands coming out of nowhere and they were just huge on the internet and now they're on huge tours and you're like, whoa, what, how'd they do that? It's like, well, they promoted themselves well and they, were utilizing the contacts on the internet. And then there's also still the other side of it of like, we were just pulling up to venues being like, hey, we saw there's a show tonight. Can we pull a 15-minute set? Like any way we can jump on this? And they're like, screw it. Yeah, go ahead. And we're like, all right, sick. So there was like a balance. And I think that was like really, really something that I like, especially going back to the nostalgia thing, that I just like love so much about that time period. Like as the band got bigger and we did bigger tours and things like, whatever else, that was all such a treat to have happen to us. But at the same time, when I tell these stories now, it's always from the like us sleeping in Walmart parking lot stories and stuff, and like us breaking into a water park in the middle of the night stories, like the things that like we did when like it was like super DIY and printing our own merch in the trailer and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, there was just something about that cusp, that like Tumblr internet kind of picking up, but still being able to slip through the cracks and like, all that.
You set me up so good for this next bit of discussion, because I think I reference what I call the MySpace era of 2004 to 2009, because 2009 is essentially when it died and Facebook took over the world. But when I look back at the music industry at large, that was probably the last big bubble of the old school industry, where you had a lot of DIYers learning soft marketing skills and how to promote themselves through soft marketing skills. You guys became a band kind of after the MySpace era, and then ended the band in 2016 when there was a vacuum. You guys essentially existed in like that pre-content creation era. So it was almost a little bit more Wild West for you guys with that big gap. Was it, or was it not?
No, it for sure was. I think I'll let Nick finish this one off, but to start it, like, yeah, when the band broke up, I didn't even know what Spotify was still. Like genuinely, I had joined another band after Major League and we were touring one time and they were like, "Did that have an iPod?" I was like, "Yeah, why?" I'm like, "Dude, just download Spotify. You $10 a month and you can listen to anything you want." And I was like, what? Like, it was like still so foreign to me. And now it's like wild to me because your Spotify numbers are everything. It's like these vanity numbers that everybody wants you to have, these like, well, what are your monthly listeners? It's like, who cares? Like, our band's sick. And it's like, but they don't care about that. They're like, yeah, every band's sick. Like, what are your numbers? And that was not a thing for us. It was still very much like we would just show up and we're like, yeah, dude, we're huge in Philly. Don't even worry about it. Like, we could still, and they had no metric. They had no metric for it. We were just like showing up. So yeah, that was like it was weird to see that transition. And then, like you were talking about earlier, coming out of 2020, now that's all it is. Now it's all like, if you don't have some numbers popping off on some sort of website, like, come back when you do, kind of thing. And that to me is so scary. Like, I can't imagine how hard it must be now being an artist trying to come up. Nick, if you want to like piggyback off of that, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like the amount of work that we put in, back in the day was very much, let's figure out money. Like, how can we get there? Like, how can we just put ourselves in those positions to build those fan bases and then grow, right? I mean, but we were talking about emailing all of these booking agents, and I was literally just looking through the old spreadsheet that I had of like all of these booking agents. I still have all their contacts and information, and but like that was, I think, what made it so special was because we were experiencing things. We were experiencing it with the community, with the fan base, and now I feel like you almost have to work even harder. It's almost more stressful now because there's no set way, right? I have to figure out what kind of content that are going to capture these people for 10 seconds to where they keep scrolling and don't forget. Brian and I were talking about that before. It's like you're now on social media where you get everything in these little blips, and if you like something, you go, oh yeah, that's sick, and you don't immediately switch to go find out more about them. You just keep going.
Right.
And then you try to remember, right? So how do you make yourself stand out in a vast ocean of all of these other artists trying to do the same exact thing? And I think I'm hoping that we'll see VFW shows and all of those things start to pop up again, and you kind of go back into that old school mentality of, well, I'm just gonna fucking go.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to go there and I'm just going to play. Like, I saw a reel from Set It Off, I think it was like a month ago, where Cody was showing like how they had signs and they would bring iPods with their headphones. We did the exact same thing to malls. Like, that's how we promoted our music back then. And that was so fun, and it was such a real interaction that it's so much harder now to make something feel real that's actually fake.
Well, it's funny you just said something about the like, you can just scroll, but you have to keep their attention for like more than 10 seconds or whatever. What we got lucky about with that was we had to play these shows and be in front of them. There was no internet, and there was also no re-entry, so you have to stand here, bitch.
Yeah.
Like, so like, you just have to watch us now.
Absolutely.
Dude, what was funny, I was in a text group with a couple of my buddies earlier this week, and we were actually discussing about how I feel, and this is just me shooting from the hip here. I feel like we're watching the slow end of social media right now. Like, AI is taking over everything so heavily that people are not going to know what's real versus what's fake, what's synthetic anymore. That hopefully that does encourage people to go out in the real world and discover things the old fashioned way again. Yeah, I am going to be the old guy shaking his fist at the clouds. But
we're right there with you.
But like, I tell you, nothing made me happier than seeing Jimmy Eat World play at an Arby's last week. It's like, this is what this younger generation needs to see. And just for words of encouragement to you guys, and as a father of teenagers, specifically a teenage daughter that's sang in a band, kids are hungry for it.
Yeah.
They are ready for it. I am seeing deposits of talent unlike anything I've ever seen before. And they have tools that we didn't have when we were younger, like to refine that talent. So there is a silver lining behind those clouds that I'm currently screaming at.
Absolutely. So, I agree with you for sure. And also to that, I was going to say that I believe that the kids will be all right, because I feel like they're so resilient. I'm going to take that back, because you just mentioned Jimmy Eat World playing the Arby's, and All American Rejects did that backyard tour. I just think people are going to be all right. I think that the AI thing, I think they they underestimate how, and they as in like the industry itself, because you know, I think they underestimate like people yearn for that creativity. They want to see a human do it because they want to believe they can do it too. And if they can just sit there and type it into a prompt and everyone can do it, then that's not really like, then what's the aspiration there? What's the, like, what are you going for?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that like to see Jimmy Eat World do it and All American Reject. So now you have these bands that don't need to do this. They can go and play an arena if they wanted to or whatever, but they are doing it. And then you have the kids that are also coming out. And like, there's these bands like this band that I follow now. They're called Pool Scum. They can't be more than like 12 years old. They're a cool little hardcore band. But like, these kids rip, and their shows are like sold out VFWs, and they're like losing it. And I just like, it warms my heart because I'm like, it's not going to win. Like, we can shake our fist at the AI clouds right now, but we'll be all right. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if the industry will be all right, but we'll be all right. The creators will be all right. And I have faith in that. Maybe that's my like overbearing optimism, but
so leaning into that optimism, when talks of reuniting the original lineup started, were there difficult or healing conversations that had to happen first?
Absolutely. There was a lot of healing conversations. I think Brian and I, we both have the same exact story of we're driving up to this diner, the Colonial Diner, and we're sitting in our car. And I think Brian was talking to his wife. I was talking to my wife, and we're like, why are we doing this? This is so stupid. Like, why are we even talking to each other? You know? And then as soon as we walked in, Brian was sitting in the lobby, and as soon as I walked in, I just had this giant fucking smile on my face, and we gave each other a hug. I don't know. It felt like we were family, man. Like we spent more time with each other than we did our actual families, and we lived together. So, but I think we had to go through a lot of what we went through to where we could get to this point. And there was a lot of things we needed to talk about and just gauge each other, because you know how it is. You get in your head and you think something is a certain way and it's portrayed a certain way and somebody feels a certain way about you. But reality, they're just human, you know? Like, we all make mistakes, and we were kids. We were absolute kids. So I'm glad that we were able to both be better in our lives to come together and talk about this stuff, because it's so important. You know, moving forward, like we try to be really transparent in everything we do.
You know, so I know that question kind of came out of left field after talking about AI and social media, but there is a relevancy to it. And that's the fact that I think because of social media and everything that we have going on in society, our relationship with time is a lot different. Like, you have a conversation with somebody and you say, hey, the pandemic was 6 years ago. The world shut down 6 years ago on St. Patrick's Day weekend. And you're thinking, no, it wasn't 6 years ago. It was a fucking year ago at best. And it's like, no, it was 6 years ago. Yeah. And so because of social media and the fact that we're constantly inundated with scrolls and information nonstop, our relationship with time has just become shorter and shorter and shorter. So that real world aspect of reconnecting with somebody in the real world space makes you realize how much time really has passed. Am I off the base there?
No, 100%.
No, man. Absolutely.
It's funny you say that. We were just at coffee with a friend of mine while we were out here, and we were talking about Warped Tour in 2015 because Major League was on it and stuff. My friend made the joke. He was like, you know what's crazy? And I was like, what's that? And he was like, Warped Tour 2015 is closer to COVID than we are right now to COVID. And I wanted to throw up. I was like, dude, that sucks. but you're 100% right. And that is, I think that was the biggest part for me with Nick and I meeting up again, is that like for years, like Nick said, like in my head had played all this, like, well, he probably hates me. We had this falling out. We had this thing happen. And then like I had said this when he left the band, and he had said this to this person. I'm like, there's all these things. And I think the longer that time went on, the more that I was like, man, if I could just get to talk to him again, I'll just let him know that like, I just want to meet you where you are. Like, I don't need to talk about all that stuff. I don't need I don't need an apology. I don't necessarily feel like I owe an apology. And like, once we were able to meet up again, that's kind of where the conversation went. We talked about some of the heavy things, like kind of right away, just like, hey, look, I'm really sorry about that. And both of us exchanged the you don't have to apologize thing. Like, oh, dude, I did this though, and I did that. And I think once we realized that, like, the redemption arc is like the best story ever told.
Yes.
Like, let people grow, man. Like, there's like, time has passed, and like Nick said, he left when we were 23 years old, 24, and it's like, dude, I think about my 23-year-old self now, and I'm just like, oh, buddy, you need a hug. Like, because like I thought that like I was supposed to have everything figured out, and I think part of that, my parents are young, so like my parents had me at like 19 and 21 and stuff. So like I was hitting milestones that my parents had hit, and I'm thinking like 23, my dad already had a 2-year-old. What am I doing with my life? Like, just all the pressure I was putting on myself, and now I look back, I'm like, dude, babies. Like we weren't supposed to know what was happening, and I think that also helped with that, like having that time apart and that growing and healing process for all of us, not just Nick and I, but for the rest of the guys as well. When we all got back together, there was this feeling of like, I want to meet you with where you are now. Like, I want to know who you are, who have you become, who is the father that you are now, what jobs do you do, because I think that that's like such an important aspect when we talk about the transparency thing of where we are now and how we move forward, is knowing where we are, knowing where our boundaries are with things, because there were no boundaries back then. We were just beating the shit out of each other in this little band. So it's like, now it's like, okay, so where are our boundaries? Like, and it's I don't know, it's just beautiful. It's like, it's the time apart has made me appreciate so much of what this is able to be this time around.
You know, you almost took my next question away from me, but now that you guys are in the thick of it, what feels significantly different about this chapter?
I think it is. I think it is what Brian's saying is like, we understand each other. Like, there's no pressure. There's no like, if you can't do this, you can't be in the band type deal. It's, hey, can you make this happen? And if you can't, okay, are you cool if we have somebody else come in and make it happen? For what the majority wants to do, and everybody's cool with it. You know what I mean? There's no, obviously there's stress and there's other things that we put on ourselves, right? That we're trying to learn the internet again. We're trying to do all these other things, but we're doing that to ourselves. It's not being put on us, and everything else that is so that affects us personally, I feel like there's nothing being put on you that should affect you personally. Because when we started talking about this again, the main thing that we wanted to do was have fun. And if it's not fun, what are we doing? This is totally not worth it,
Right. So now that the toothpaste is out of the tube, what's fan reaction been like, learning that you guys are coming back?
So I had mentioned earlier that like we wanted to make sure, because our fans are older now and they're coming to our shows and probably going to hold up their cell phones and capture it. Instead, I was completely wrong. We came out during that set, and the second the riff for I Don't Like You Whatsoever started, I got pushed out of the way. Some dude front flipped into the crowd.
Yep.
Someone else stage dove off the thing. Someone jumped off the drum riser. And I was like, oh man, we're back, baby. Like, I was picturing this thing being like, just very like, this will be chill and everybody will be like, have their phones up and they'll sing along. It was pandemonium. And it was so, I had also mentioned it earlier that like bringing their kids out, like seeing kids stage dive and stuff. Like there was like my friend Alexa and Matt, they brought their son with them, and he's only like 9 or 10 years old. And like I watched Matt lift him onto the stage and then him turn around and jump into like Alexa's arms, and they like crowd surfed him back and stuff. And like things like that is like, to be a generational band is such a privilege, to be something that your fans can now introduce their kids to, and their kids are becoming fans of it. And we're seeing it even just on our social media and stuff. Just seeing like, I'll see somebody comment on it or whatever, and they're like, this is my first show, so cool. And you click on their Instagram and they're like 12 years old, and you're like, oh my God, 12-year-olds have Instagram? Like, this is crazy. But to be a generational band is like, what an honor, what a privilege to like span this thing. And I just think it's beautiful. I think that it's like, it's a really cool opportunity to have, and especially for people like Nick and Matt, our guitarists, who have their own kids as well. Because all in all, like my whole want to do this at all is to inspire people the way I was inspired by my favorite bands.
Hell yes.
I want to create because I want other people to be like, I'm going to do it better than that guy. And it's like, please do. Cause fun fact, I have no clue what I'm doing. So, but yeah, it's such a cool opportunity. And I feel so like warm hearted with the way it's been received so far.
Well, I'm going to throw out some flowers because you guys are going out on the road with Hit the Lights. And fun little anecdote. So my buddy, he doesn't do it anymore. My buddy was a professional wrestler. I'm talking like WWE, AEW level professional wrestler. He's been on WWE television as an extra a couple times. His walkout song when he used to wrestle for one of the local organizations was the song Gravity by Hit the Lights. And it has become my, like, when it pops up in my workout mix and I'm in the gym, I'm like, fuck yeah, it's on. Like the can you feel the gravity? And I'm like, yes. So what's it gonna be like going out on the road with such a great band like Hit the Lights? Does this tour feel like a time capsule of an era?
Dude, everything we've done feels like a time capsule of an era, right? We had like With the Punches and Forever Came Calling on our reunion show. Like that was absolutely insane. That felt like 2012. And to have to do a co-headliner with Hit the Lights, we were talking about doing something more, right? We didn't even play the show yet and we were itching. We were just like, well, what if we did this? Like, what if we did this? And we talked about, we'll just play like 10 one-offs, a year, and like that'll be it, And when we started talking about doing more, it was like, well, who should we do this with? Hit the Lights. Hit the Lights would be sick. And they had the same thought when they were planning on doing something too. So for us to be able to do something with them again is gonna, like, it's unreal. It's gonna be awesome, man. The energy is gonna be super high. I didn't have the privilege to tour with them, but Brian did. And just hearing stories and meeting those guys for the first time when we saw that, we went to their show with Homegrown and Set Your Goals, like just meeting them for the first time. This is going to be absolutely the epitome of fun. Like that's what this is going to be. And I'm so excited.
So the $1 million question is this strictly a celebration run, or is this the start of new music and a true second chapter for Major League?
It's the start. It is, man. It is. I have to say, like Nick coming out here this week. We weren't sure. We were very much like, let's see how this tour goes. Let's see what happens. But Nick coming out here this week and the batch of songs that we wrote while he was here, I was the first to be like, hey guys, I'm really happy we're all friends again. That's a different part of my life, man. I am not that person anymore. I'm not like kick around on stage pop punk guy anymore. Like I'll put out this vinyl and we'll do the record sales, but like that's as far as it goes. We got the show offer. I caved and was like, okay, fine. My wife was really egging it on because she had never known that part of my life. We met 2 years after the band broke up. So for her, she was like, come on. Like, you're not even allowed. She wasn't even allowed to watch the YouTube videos in our house. Like, the video would come on and I was in the kitchen, like, turn that off. Like, what are you doing out there? And so like, it was a super hype thing. But after Nick being here this week and the batch of songs we wrote, I was like, damn, it's go time. Like, this is like, I think this is going to be the beginning of something really cool. And I just feel really proud to be able to do it and to showcase like the last 10 years of us being apart and how it's coming together and being like, yeah, we didn't skip a beat. Like, I think this is, it's so cool.
So with this new Genesis, Nick, how do you feel creatively as a vocalist in this new era of Major League?
Honestly, so we've been kicking around some stuff for a while. And, before to be really transparent, like we like to be, right? Before the reunion show, we were in the studio just kind of recording some things. And that was a terrible experience. For me personally, because, I felt like I put so much pressure on myself. I put so much pressure on myself that I need to perform. I need to do this. I need to be up to, up to par with not have done that forever. I mean, what Hard Feelings came out in was like 2012. Like those were the last songs that I was a part of the writing process with. To jump in there, and I want it to be good and I want it to be great. And I'm really happy with how this session came around being in California, because it was like The Truth Is. We talk about nostalgia with The Truth Is. Another thing is the way that we wrote that is, I think I went outside to smoke a cigarette, and I come in, and Brian already has something, recorded, demoed out, and it's a riff. And I'm like, play that again, hook up the mic. And it's the connection. I had a vocal melody in my mind outside that I was working on.
That's the best.
And Brian had never heard it. I didn't hear what Brian was writing. And for us to walk into the room together and go, this is it. We're on the same wavelength. We're on the same page. It felt so good. Like I feel better about myself and more confident to what I can bring. And I feel like we're back,
Yes, I love hearing that, because there is nothing better than to walk into and hearing something fresh and those creative juices going right off the bat. And dude, I tell you, like the last band I was in, like we had a whole third album written. I couldn't write a lick of shit to anything because I was putting so much pressure on myself. So I know exactly what you're talking about. Guys, I have absolutely loved getting to know you guys over the past 45 minutes. Like it has just flown by like none other. So with that said, my closing question, and it's my curveball question that I throw to everybody, through your personal experience and everything you guys have coming up, what's your advice individually, one at a time, for making the world a better place tomorrow than what it is today through your eyes?
Appreciate it. Appreciate the world for what it is. We talked about time, and time is so important. That's something that you can't get back, and appreciate the time that you have. Even in the small things, my flight home sucked, but I got to experience something that I thought I never would be able to experience again. Right. And to come home, and my family's super excited to see me. And it's one of those things. Just take it day by day, minute by minute, second by second, and really appreciate things for what they are.
Yeah. I would say patience, something that I've always had a really hard time with. And I think with that patience comes, I think a lot of the time we mistake people's just ignorance for malice, which is something I did a lot when I was younger. I was just like, this guy didn't know better. We were both 23 years old. He didn't know any better than I did, but his ignorance in it, and also not being in my head, I'm thinking like, this is sabotage. And to meet people with, like I said earlier, meeting them where they are and saying like, okay, let me understand where you are with this. I try to do it a lot when I'm driving because I'm an angry driver.
Right.
Yeah.
But to see a car, it's easy to get mad at a car. And then you pull up next to the person and you see it's an old woman. You're like, that's somebody's grandmother, dude. Don't you know what I mean? And I think that it's helped me a lot with things like that, where it happens and I just take that pace, immediately commenting, F this person, blah, blah, blah. Take a breather. Is it even real? The person you're responding to, what's their profile look like? Is it just a picture of a dog? Then it's probably not a real person. Why are you mad? And that's that patience, that little second of just breathe it out, I think will snowball and domino itself into the people around you, the experiences around you. And that's my hope.
No, I love it, man. I one of the things I do outside of this podcast thing is I do commentary for a fight organization, and my co-host, he has this app on his phone that locks him out of social media for certain blocks of time.
That's sick.
And then he has to do all these exercises and all this secondary screening shit
Mhm.
to even get back into his social media. And you're absolutely right. Everybody could stand to take a beat before being so reactionary, because we are such an instant gratification world anymore.
Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
I have one of those too as well. It's my wife. She just you're done. Give me that.
yes,
Oh,
yes.
man.
Guys, why don't you tell my audience, anybody that's watching this or listening to this, where they can find you and your music online?
Everything social media is at Major League NJ / Major League NJ. And Major League, good luck Googling it. It's a pretty broad band name.
MajorLeagueNJ.com.
Do
Yeah, that's where you can
NJ,
find
because I've looked up another major league before, and it's like some horn band from Louisiana, and I was like, man, I'd be excited to talk to these guys too. You know? But no, for real, guys, Nick, Brian, I have really enjoyed this conversation. You guys need to know that you have an ally in me moving forward.
Appreciate
Thank you
Mike.
so much for doing the show. The world is a much better place with you guys in it.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
Thanks,
Likewise.
man.